And that was the thing.
What was the, if you could just describe it to, what was the trick that you did? Was it a card trick? Was it a, like,
I did the same. So I met this producer on America's Got Talent, and she was amazing. And she just said, do whatever, just come, do whatever you want. And I couldn't do the act that I was supposed to do on America's Got Talent because I had to fly to London the next day.
Okay.
And she said, well, just do what you did on Penn and Teller. So I did the same thing I did on Penn and Teller on that first round. And then the second round, I didn't even have piffles with me. And the second round, I brought piffles, ate the sandwich, did the carded dog food trick, and kissed Heidi Klum and all of that stuff. And,
it's so smart. And I think I mean, the key now we know is not winning those shows. It's just making a splash on the show. You don't need to win in order to be successful. Just let people see you.
Yeah, I actually don't. I think when I went in, I was like, oh, it's bad to win because then they own you.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're much more concerned about renewing their $100 million a year television show than dealing with a grumpy dragon. So I think, for me, it worked out great. And also, the reason I went on the show was because there was a billboard with Terry Fator, who's the ventriloquist, and it was like the winner of America's Got Talent. And I was like, man, it will be funny to have a billboard, Piff the Magic Dragon, the loser of America's Got Talent.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And we did the show, and then like 3 months later, we had that billboard.
Yeah, and now are you still doing regular shows on Vegas?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Where?
Still at the Flamingo, but we took over the big main showroom from Donnie and Marie, and we're now in the big showroom there. We've been there for like 4 years. And, we're talking about what's next there.
Oh, how mad is Donnie and Marie? Donnie and Marie must hate you.
They're furious.
Yeah.
And the best thing is they have to be so happy for me.
Yeah.
That makes them even more angry. And it's a vicious cycle.
I've loved Penn and Teller since high school. I used to watch them on Letterman when Letterman was on the Late Late Show. And then they had an off-Broadway show. And all the theater nerds in my high school, they joined this theater club. And like once every 3 months, they would meet and go on a bus and go to the city and see Cats or whatever, and I don't want to do any of that. And I was okay popular in high school, but when I went on the theater trip to go see Penn and Teller, I was the loser because all the theater kids, they didn't know me, because they were all, I was an outcast. So, but we went to see Penn and Teller, and I was just so blown away by seeing all these tricks because I'd only seen a little hints of their magic of what they did on Letterman, and to see it all live. And then when the show was over, they say goodbye and they hop off the stage and walk out, and you're like, that was awesome. And then when you leave, they're out there smoking cigarettes and Teller's talking, and you're like, what's going on? and you get to meet them and they sign. And then years later, I've seen them 2 or 3 times at the Rio, and the same thing on the way out. They're there greeting everybody. And I talked to Penn on the show one time, and I said, don't you get tired? I mean, you guys stay there until the last person leaves and take pictures of everybody. And Penn said to me something that stuck with me all these years. He said, if you can't take a minute out of your day to thank the people that made you millionaires and made you popular, you're a huge asshole. And I went, you're 100% right. I mean, I think about that all the time. We actually do the set. We do everything I do is now based on what Penn and Teller did. Right.
I just take it's like it worked out great for them. So I'm like,
why not? Yeah.
But the thing is, nobody ever queues up to tell you you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Nobody ever queues up to say anything bad. All they do is they say, hey, we had a great night. Thanks so much for the show. And there's always, some shows are easier than others.
Yeah.
And every time you have a bad night, you go out into the meet and greet afters, and there's always someone who's traveled from somewhere across the world to be there. Somebody who wants like you to send a message to like some sick relative, or it's just always like, and you go, oh, hang on a second. Like actually, what I do is like making people happy.
Yeah, it's great. When I was a kid, I don't know how it was in London, but the magicians that were on TV were, first there was that weird Doug Henning.
I don't even remember. What was that about?
I don't remember his magic. I just remember his weird long hair and him talking all the way he did.
Well, weirdly, he came over to the UK and to be a politician as part of the I can't remember what the party name was, but they were really into yogic flying. You know that thing when they sit cross-legged on the floor and bounce around? So our introduction to Doug Henning in the UK was as the front man of the yogic flyers.
What was the phrase he always said? The power of illusion? Was that what it was? Or the something of illusion?
Yeah, illusion is everywhere.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, he had such a weird voice.
And I can't recall any of the tricks that he did. I just remember him always being on talk shows and stuff. And then there was always the Harry Blackstone, who people say I look like. and the guys that would have.
Yeah, you do.
I got a little Harry
Blackstone.
One time I was out, I met some Asian girl, and she's like, "Who do people tell you look like?" And I go, "I don't know. I get Jim Belushi sometimes or Pavarotti, and I look a lot like that guy from Raiders of the Lost Ark." And she goes, "Oh, I was thinking Harry Blackstone." I was like, "Oh, I've never heard that before." But that was a top hat and the wand.
Did you see the Harry Blackstone Super Bowl show?
I did not.
Oh, you got to Google that.
Really?
It's a nightmare. He does. I just feel so. It's like the worst thing you can see as a performer. He does the Super Bowl halftime show, and it's like. And he's got all these massive props, and there's just this huge windstorm, and like elephants are being blown over, like girls are just dying.
It was a Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, it was
what
a Super
year?
Bowl.
Yeah,
like in the 70s. Yeah,
which I was going to say, what a perfect spot for Magic Super Bowl halftime.
It's pyros are going off in like dancers' faces, and just, it's the worst thing.
Who were you watching when you were a kid?
None of them.
No, I
hated Magic.
Oh, really?
I grew up hating Magic.
So what made you get into it?
There was a show late night on one of our main channels, and it had all these close-up magicians who were also comedians. So like there was a guy called Jerry Sadowitz, who's like a Scottish comedian and close-up magician. But people like Amazing Jonathan as well were on it too.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wait, what's this? Because the magic was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they were like so funny, like, and also it was that thing like. It was like aimed at, it was like an adult thing. So you kind of felt like you were like in on something, and I just loved it. And I was like, this is what I want to do in my life.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah. And where so like if I wanted to start learning magic now, what is the best thing to do? Like where do you get books? Do you go find a magician?
Like the most important thing is that you like do something different.
Yeah.
And when I started, I was like doing like all this thing. I was copying everyone else.
Yeah.
But I realized like that if you read books, you don't copy the person's act. Because when you see like, when you like learn off a video or, YouTube or whatever, you like end up copying what they do. But if you read books, you kind of like start making it for yourself. And then that's the most fun way to do it.
So you learned how from books and then just learned how to do the tricks and then adapted that to your own personality.
Yeah, I sort of realized pretty quickly that what all the magicians were telling me, this is what you have to do, and you have to do like, you have to like do close-up magic for like corporate dinners, and I was just like, I wanted to be in show business, not catering. And so I just learned. I was like, hang on, I think I'm just going to do what I want and just do my own thing and see what happens.
Yeah.
And when I did that, everyone, because I was like, had all the skills, and I was like winning all these awards in magic. And then when I just went, okay, I'm just going to do whatever I want now, everyone was like, oh, what you, oh, he's lost it. He's dressing up as a dragon now. It's a disaster.
Dude, honestly, the first time you go home and tell your parents or whoever it is, like, this is what I have to do.
My poor parents. This year, this is crazy to me. I won the Magic Castle Magician of the Year.
Wow.
Which is like this huge award. It goes to like people like Penn and Teller, David Blaine, David Copperfield. These are the people who win it. And I was like, I don't deserve this. And I went to the Magic Castle one night and I sat through one of the shows and I was like, maybe I deserve this. but I flew out my parents to the awards ceremony, and they came and they got all dressed up in tuxes, and I received the award, and I was like, when your son dresses up as a dragon for a living, you have to make the most of every event. So I like to think my parents are being here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? They must have suffered. But it worked out. They go to Vegas, their son's all over billboards.
Oh, that's so awesome. The Magic Castle, I've seen it a million times in LA. Do average people get to go in there and watch shows, or is it mostly like a hangout for magicians?
It's like a hangout for magicians, and it's like you have to like. It's one of those places that's got like super strict dress code, and you have to like know somebody there to be invited.
That's what I heard. Like you can't just go in there.
You can't just go in.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But it's good. I love places like that, and we used to play it once every year. We used to do a week every year before the pandemic, and then we're gonna start doing like maybe like once a month or something there.
What did you do during the pandemic? That sucked.
It was terrible. We did because Vegas. It was so funny.
We went to Vegas during the pandemic.
Yeah. During the pandemic?
It was my 50th birthday, and we all had plans to go, and I'm sitting there playing blackjack with a mask on. It was miserable.
That was the bad, right.
It was really miserable.
Before the March comes, and I'm like, they're going to shut down Vegas. everyone is like, they will never shut down. And I'm like, they're going to shut it down, guys. So I started moving everything from the Flamingo into my garage, and we built a little TV studio, and we did shows every day from the TV show. Then from the TV studio, then we did them on YouTube. Then we did these magic shows, these like hour-long, 90-minute magic shows, where like we sold like 50 tickets a time, and like people could like interact with with us and like do tricks over the Zoom. And then we did a TV show on TBS, which we won. It was called Tournament of Laughs, and it was us and 31 other comedians like Jeff Ross, Natasha Leggero, Triumph, the Insult Dog.
Yeah. And
each week you had to do a video, and we won the whole thing.
Oh wow!
And then we came out of that, and I had this idea. We went in a 200-seat showroom before, right?
Right.
And the big showroom seats are 800. And I had this idea. I was like, I think that these big showrooms aren't going to be able to open properly. They're going to be socially distanced.
Yeah.
So I reckon that when we can like come and do shows again, they're going to say, hey, can you move into the big showroom? So we started building a show.
Based on
like Noah in the Ark.
Right.
We started like building this show. and then like 6 months later, they said, hey, we're reopening. And yeah, we went and we did the whole crap. And it was so dumb. Like, you had to be 25 feet from people. You couldn't touch something they touched without disinfecting it. Ugh. But there were all these stupid rules. Like, if you were eating, then you could take your mask off.
Right. It was
So I just ate the whole show. I put on 30 pounds.
That was the thing in Vegas. I was trying to drink a beer, and then every time you'd put it down, they'd tell you to put the mask back on. Oh, this is so dumb.
But it was so dumb for so long.
Well, all right. Well, this is Piff the Magic Dragon, who is going to be at the Capitol Theater tomorrow night. I'm telling you, I've seen the show. It's very funny. Now, where in Vegas, you're there for forever. Like if I plan on my next show, okay, good. We got to. I would love to do that.
I'm going to be out in Vegas actually next weekend.
Oh, you kidding?
Yeah, no. So I'm coming out, and kind of a connection is I'm going to be out there to see the Steelers play, and our buddy Steve Byrne, who's a comedian, you probably know, he is the one who directed the documentary about Amazing Jonathan.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I'm going to be hanging out with him, but I may come by and see you at the Flamingo.
Oh well, I have a hookup for you.
Nice.
His publicist.
So the Vegas show is like our Super Bowl show because all the tricks we've done over the years are our favorite ones ever.
Oh yeah,
because it's all the stuff that we can't travel with.
Oh sure.
But this tour in Florida is this is the last time we're going out with the original Mr. Piffles.
Oh,
he's gonna retire after this. So we're bringing some killer. We've got some killer tricks with us this time as well.
How often do you come up with new tricks?
They take about 2 years.
Holy
wow!
Christ.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And usually a cheap trick is $50,000.
Do you just have them in your head and you're like and you spend the year working them out?
I'll give you one in Vegas.
Yeah.
So in Vegas, we get a guy, and the guy has like a competition with Mr. Piffles, and the guy loses. But to make the guy feel better, Mr. Piffles gets him a drink. And we say, what drink do you want? And he can name any drink. And we then place Mr. Piffles on a table, and we put a little cup underneath him, and he pees any drink named into the cup, and we give it to the guy, and he drinks it, and it's that drink. It's whatever he named. And that took about 3 years.
So if this guy says, I want a gin and tonic or a pina colada,
Mr. Piffles
will pee it into the cup.
Delivers it immediately.
How are you not going to go see that?
Yeah. And you know who made that? You know who gave us the final piece of the puzzle for the method? Teller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we were stuck for so long, and in the end, I said, Teller, you got to help me. And in 10 minutes, he solved it.
Wow.
Dude, they must be so fun to hang out with.
They're the best.
Yeah,
I love those guys.
Penn's just so smart, and he wants to talk about so many great things, and then you see them together, and they do together like one of the most solid teams.
Oh yeah, I mean, when I see them, I'm like, I don't deserve the magician of the year.
Well, I'm glad you made it here. And I hope people come to see you at the Capitol Theater. Mr. Piffles, the OG Mr. Piffles will be there.
Yeah.
And all the great stuff that Piff the Magic Dragon brings. And let's not wait 6-7 years to catch up again. Let us know.
Now I have your cell number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't send nudes. All right, go ahead, do it. Do it.